Hello guys, in this video we are going to learn context API with React.js. So for that go to the React.js project and after that create some of component like component A, component B, component C and component D. So let me create it for you. Component A.jsx and then after rfc shortcut. Then after let's say we will create the component B like this only jsx and rfc component B. Okay, same way we will create component C as well. .jsx rafce. Okay, and same way we will create component D as well. Component D.jsx rafce. And let me run this project for you. npm run dev. Okay, and it's running on localhost 5173. Let me open it. Okay, so it's showing only app. Why? Because if we go to the app.jsx, we will never imported our component A, B, C or D over here. So let me import component A over here, component A, and now you can see that component A is there. And now let's say component A is having component B as a child component, component B. You will get the idea like component B is having component C as a child component. And now let's say component C is having component D as a child component, component D. So now if you see the UI, you can see that there is component A, component B, component C and component D, because we have actually imported all these components as a child component. Inside component A as a component B, then after inside component B we will use component C, and inside component C we will use component D. So that's why we will see that A component A, component B, component C and component D. So now let's say we have one requirement. We have one state. Let's say const count and set count equals to useState 0, and let me import it useState. And we need to use this count and set count inside component D. So how we can do that? So first very basic scenario is that we can pass this count and set count as a props inside component B. Let's say set count inside set count, and then after from component B we will get props. Then we can pass count and set count inside component C. Count and set count will be the props dot set count, and then after let's say inside component C we will get the props over here, and we will pass that count as a props count and set count equals to props dot set count, and then after inside component D we will get the props over here, props, and let's say we need to show it. So count inside component D will be the props dot count. Okay, and let's say see, it's showing us 0. Yeah, as expected, because in component D it will be the 0. Okay, we removed that as well. Just a minute, let me do some of wrapping so it will. Okay, component D and count component D. So now let's say we have one button, and based on click we need to increment this count. So let's say we have one button, so button type will be the button, and let's say increment, and on click we need to increment the counter. So let's just say props dot set count will be the props dot count plus 1. Why we can get this props dot set count? Because if you can see inside component C we will pass the count and set count as a props, so we can directly get this by using props dot. So over here you can see that we have increment button and count value showing over here. Let's say let increment this, so let me click it, so it will be the 1, say 2, 3. So when I click on this it will be the increment. So okay, so now you can see that just you use of this count and set count inside component D, we need to pass inside component B, then after component C, then after component D. So it's a waste if you can see that. Let's say in future we have component A to component Z and we have some state inside component A and we need to use inside component Z. So we need to pass this all the values as a props inside component A to component B to component C to component Z. So this is not the best scenario, I can say that. So in that case, context API will introduce. So in that, what we can do, so whenever there is parent child dependency is there, over here you can see that we have parent child dependency because component A is having component B is having component C, and component C is having component D as a child component. So in that case, we can use context API. So for that, what you need to do, you need to create one context. So let's say export const comp a context equals to use context, create context, and okay. Now you need to wrap this context, provider. You need to wrap entire component by using this provider, and you need to pass this as a value. So let's say you need to use count and set count, right? Set count. Because ES6 is working like this, so it will expected. Let me clarify it for you. So count will be the count and set count will be the set count. Okay, so now we can get rid of this. We are actually not passing as a props. We can remove this props as well. Okay, remove this, and then after component C, remove this and remove this as well. And let's go to the component C. Now we are not able to get the props. So in that case, we need to use our context. So let's say component A context equals to use context, and then after comp A context, which we have created over here, component A context, and we have used as a provider and passed the value. So whatever the value you have passed over here, you can get inside by using use context. So let's say component A dot count, component A dot set count, and component A dot count plus 1. Let's save it and let's check. Let me do refresh. So now you can see that it's 0 and increment. Let me click it. Okay, so it will be the 1, it will be the 2, it will be the 3. So it is working as expected. So now you don't need to pass props. So component, we are not passing anything as a props inside component B. We are not passing anything inside component C as a props, and we are not passing anything. You are not going to provide only this state only. You can provide some hard-coded value as well. Let's say channel name. Let's say apna take code. Okay, channel name. So you can also get inside component D as well. So let's say you need to show channel name over here. Let's say div channel name compare context dot channel name. So now you can get apna tech code as a channel name as well. So same thing, means whenever you have parent child dependency, you can use context. So for that you need to create context, then after you need to wrap your all the stuff by using created context dot provider, and you need to pass the value inside that, and then after whenever you require that, you just need to use context, and you need to pass that created context over here. After that, whatever the value you have passed the inside value props over here, you will get by using this component A dot count dot set count or dot channel name, whatever you will get. Let's say there is one more scenario. There are lots of component which does not have parent child relationship. So inside that, do we able to use this create context? Then no, you don't able to use this context when you don't have parent child relationship. Inside that, you need to use global state management like Redux, then after Justum, recoil is there. So you need to use all these types of global state management whenever you don't have parent-child relationship. So we will talk all this global store management related stuff inside our next video. Thank you for watching this and follow for more content and tips like this.